Imagine being a Roman emperor, kneeling in the dust before the man who just destroyed your army. Your armor is cracked. Your hand is bleeding. Your horse is dead somewhere behind you, lost under a field of bodies and broken shields. Around you, men are speaking a language you not understand. Somewhere outside the tent, your soldiers are being searched, stripped, ransomed, or buried. And sitting in front of you is Alp Arslan, the Sultan of the Seljuk Turks. By every rule of medieval power, this should be the end. A captured emperor is not just a prisoner, he is a trophy. He is proof that God has changed sides. He can be paraded, humiliated, locked in chains, or killed slowly enough for the entire world to hear about it. But Alp Arslan does something almost unbelievable. He does not execute Romanos IV Diaculus. He speaks with him, he negotiates with him, he gives him terms, then he lets him go. The enemy releases the Roman emperor, and that is where the real horror begins. Because when Romanos returns to his own empire, he finds out that Constantinople is far less merciful than the Turkish camp. His enemies declare him unfit to rule. His throne is taken. He is hunted, defeated, forced into a monastery, and blinded so brutally that the wound becomes infected. A few months after surviving one of the most famous defeats of the Middle Ages, the emperor dies in exile, not at the hands of the Turks, but because his own people could not forgive him for surviving. This is the Battle of Manzikert, and if you think this is just the story of how the Seljuk Turks beat the Byzantines in one battle, you are missing the darker truth. Manzikert did not destroy the Roman Empire in a single afternoon. The battle opened the wound. The empire tore it wider with its own hands. By the 11th century, the Roman Empire was no longer the ancient empire of Augustus or Trajan. Its capital was Constantinople. Its language was Greek. Its enemies were Arabs, Normans, Pechenegs, Bulgarians, and sometimes its own Aristids. But make no mistake, the people we call Byzantines call themselves Romans. And for centuries, those Romans had survived almost everything. But the empire still had one great shield left: Anatolia. Asia Minor was not just land on a map. It was the empire's military heartland. Its farms fed the cities. Its villages supplied soldiers. Its roads connected the capital to the eastern frontier. If Constantinople was the brain of the empire, Anatolia was the ribcage protecting it. And by the 1060s, that ribcage was beginning to crack.
Turkish raiders were moving across the eastern frontier with terrifying speed. Fast, no panic, horrible. They rode in, burned crops, took prisoners, vanished into the hills before the army could even find them. This was the nightmare of fighting stirp cavalry.
Romanos IV understood the danger. He was not a weak emperor. He was not a palace bureaucrat hiding behind curtains and lieutenants. He was a soldier. A hard man from the military aristocracy, crowned emperor after marrying into the ruling family. He knew the eastern frontier was bleeding, and he knew that if the bleeding did not stop, the empire would lose more than forts. It would lose its future. So in 1071, Romanos gathered an army and marched east. On paper, it looked impressive. There were Byzantine regulars, provincial troops, Armenian contingents, Frankish and Norman mercenaries, stirp horsemen, and soldiers from across the empire's patchwork of peoples. Expensive, colorful, multilingual, and deeply unstable. That last part mattered. Because an army is not just a crowd with weapons, it is trust. And Romanos did not have enough of it. From a distance, Romanos looked like a man leading the power of Rome into the east. Some of his commanders disliked him. Some owed loyalty to rival families in Constantinople. Some mercenaries cared more about pay than strategy. Some local populations had no reason to love the imperial army marching through their land and taking what it needed. Up close, he was holding a cracked bowl full of knives. His target was the fortress region around Manzikert, near Lake Van. in the high country of eastern Anatolia. It was rough land, mountains, open plains, cold nights, hard roads, and huge distances that punished bad decisions. And Romanos made the decision that would haunt him. He split his army. Part of the force was sent toward Kliat, the rest continued with him towards Manzikert. On campaign, it was dangerous. On a map, it probably looked logical. Cover more ground, pressure secure more objectives. Alp Arslan was not supposed to be there. The Sultan had been focused farther south, near Syria, dealing with his own political and military priorities. Alp Arslan turned need smash into it north faster to build for movement. His army was smaller than the Byzantine corps he resumed. They could sting it. For a heavy imperial army in hostile terrain, that was poison.
The first signs were small. Foraging parties ran into Turkish cavalry. Scouts came back shaken. Men disappeared. Horses returned without riders. Dust clouds moved on the horizon and vanished. The enemy was close, but never close enough to pin down.
Then came the psychological pressure. Turkish horsemen swarmed near the Byzantine lines, firing arrows, retreating, circling, returning. They were not trying to win the battle in one charge. A man can stand against a sword. It is harder to stand against an enemy who keeps touching you and disappearing. Romanos still had options. He could dig in, he could wait, he could try to reunite his divided forces. He could accept that the campaign had become more dangerous than expected. But emperors do not like looking cautious in front of armies, especially emperors whose legitimacy depends on victory. So on August 26, 1071, Romanos marched out to fight. The Byzantine army advanced in formation. The emperor held the center. The wings extended to either side. Behind them was the reserve, commanded by Andronios Douas, a family who's had every reason to prefer Romanos humiliate rather than triumphant. That detail is not decoration. That detail is the loaded knife on the table. The Seljuks did what steppe armies did best. They refused the clean collision. They rode forward, fired arrows, pulled back, and tempted the Byzantines to keep moving. The imperial line grew hot. Formations stretched. Dust covered everything. Units lost sight of each other. The enemy seemed always just out of reach. Then, late in the day, Romanos realized the danger. The army had advanced too far. The Seljuks had not broken. The Byzantine line was tired and extended. Night was coming. If he continued, the army could lose cohesion completely. So he ordered a withdrawal back towards camp. This was the most dangerous moment in pre-modern warfare. Advancing looks brave. Retreating requires discipline. A good withdrawal is choreography under pressure. Every unit has to understand the order. Every commander has to obey. Every soldier has to believe the man next to him is not running away. But on that field near Manzikert, the order did not move cleanly. Some units began to pull back. Others misunderstood. Dust and distance distorted the line. Then the rumor spread, the deadliest weapon on any battlefield. The emperor is retreating. The emperor has lost. The army is beaten. And then Andronios Douas, commanding the reserve, did the thing that turned confusion into catastrophe. He withdrew. Whether it was betrayal, cowardice, political calculation, or panic, the effect was the same. The reserve did not move to stabilize the army. It left the emperor exposed. Imagine the view from Romanos' position. The sun is low. The air is filled with dust. The enemy cavalry is tightening around the flanks. Messengers are racing and failing. Men are looking backward. The reserve that should be protecting the army's spine is gone. At that moment, the Byzantine army stopped being an army. It became pieces. Alp Arslan saw it. The Seljuk pressure intensified. The horse arrows pressed in. The wings collapsed. Units that had been irritated all day by arrows were now isolated and frightened. Men who had marched under imperial banners began thinking not about victory, but about the road home. Romanos did not run. That is important. Whatever else can be said about him, Romanos fought. His horse was killed. He was wounded in the hand. Around him, the imperial guard tried to hold. For a little while, the Emperor of the Romans was not a symbol, not a purple robe, not a name on coins. He was just a bleeding man in the dirt, swinging a weapon while his world came apart. Then he was captured. Think about what that meant. A Roman emperor taken alive by a Muslim Turkish sultan on the eastern frontier. This was not just a military defeat. It was a humiliation that traveled faster than any messenger. The Emperor has been taken.
And yet the battlefield losses themselves may not have been enough to destroy the empire. Many soldiers escaped, many units survived. The empire still had cities, money, administrators, generals, walls, and hand power. The empire could have absorbed the defeat. What it could not absorb was the political feeding hen that came after it.
In Alp Arslan's camp, Romanus was treated not merely as a prize, but as a negotiating partner. The Sultan had his own problems. A treaty with the Roman emperor could serve him better than dragging a prisoner around forever. So Romanos agreed to terms. Ransom, tribute, territorial concessions, a marriage to Samalani. Painful terms, yes, but not annihilation. Then he was released. This is the strangest turn in the story. The man who defeated Romanus understood that a living emperor could be useful.
The men in Constantinople understood that a living Romanus was dangerous. Because while Romanus was gone, his enemies had moved. Michael VII Douglas was placed on the throne.
The Dugas faction, which had never fully accepted Romanus, now had its chance. The defeated emperor was not treated as a ruler returning from captivity. He was treated as a problem to be erased. This is where Manzikert stops being a battlefield story and becomes something uglier. Romanus tried to reclaim power. He still had supporters. He still had a claim. He was still the man who had worn the purple and led the army east. But defeat stains a ruler in a way victory never quite cleans. His opponents did not need to prove they were better soldiers. They only needed to make him look cursed. Civil inference followed. Romanos was defeated again, this time by his own countrymen. He surrendered after promises were made for his safety. Promises are cheap when a throne is at stake. He was forced into monastic life. Then came the blinding. In Byzantine politics, blinding was not random cruelty. It was a political technology. A mutilated man was considered unfit to rule. You did not have to kill him and risk making a martyr. You could destroy his body and call it mercy. But Romanos' blinding was botched, or brutal, or both. The wound became infected. He was sent away to the island of Proti. There the former emperor, the man released by Alp Arslan, died in misery. Not in a heroic last stand, not under a rain of Turkish arrows, not with a sword in his hand. He died because his own empire decided that a defeated emperor was more frightening than a foreign enemy. And that is the real tragedy of Manzikert. The Seljuks won the battle, but the Byzantines made the defeat permanent. After 1071, Anatolia did not fall overnight like a city gate kicked open in a movie. It unraveled. That distinction matters.
The frontier was already under pressure. Local defenses were weakened. Aristocratic rivalries consumed attention. Claimants fought for the throne.
Mercenaries changed sides. Soldiers went paid. Fortresses became isolated. Farmers fled or made deals with whoever could protect them.
The Turkish advance was not simply a wave. It was water finding cracks. And Manzikert created more cracks than the empire could seal.
Within a generation, much of central Anatolia, the old recruiting ground of the Roman army, was no longer securely imperial. The loss changed the balance of the Eastern Mediterranean. It helped set the stage for the First Crusade.
It transformed Anatolia into a contested world of Turks, Greeks, Armenians, Franks, warlords, cities, tribes, and broken imperial dreams.
But the deepest wound was psychological. Before Mananat, the Roman Empire could still imagine itself as the old fortress of the civilized world, battered but unbroken.
After Manzikert, it had to face a colder truth. Its enemies were dangerous. Its politics were worse.
Romanos IV is not remembered like Leonis. He is not clean enough for legend. He did not die beautifully with a small band of perfect warriors in a narrow pass. He made mistakes.
He trusted the wrong men. He led a divided army into dangerous terrain. He lost. But that is exactly why his story matters.
History is full of defeats that look simple from a distance. One army wins, one army loses. One king rises, one emperor falls. Manzikert is not simple. It is a story about logistics, cavalry, terrain, divided command, bad intelligence, political hatred, and the terrifying moment when an empire's internal fractures become visible to everyone.
It is also a warning. A state can survive losing a battle. It may not survive losing the ability to trust itself. At Manzikert, Romanos faced Alp Arslan and lost. But when he came home, he faced Constantinople. That was the enemy that finished him. So the next time you hear that the Turks destroyed the Byzantine Empire at Manzikert, remember the more uncomfortable version. The Seljuks captured the emperor and let him live. The Romans took him back and destroyed him. The battlefield did not kill the empire in a day. It showed the world where to cut. And once the wound was open, everyone came for Anatolia.